hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Vio Dojo's Ask the Sensei. I am Tish Hicks. I'm the Master Sensei of the Vio Dojo here in Burbank, California. And we are joined by our beautiful, amazing, powerful team, Jeffrey Gilbank and Kelsey V. We're here supporting us in the background, supporting everyone in the background. And we're super, super excited to welcome back as an Ask the Sensei guest, Sensei, my friend and amazing animation genius, brilliant maestra, Laila Berzins. So this is something that we do once a month, usually on the first Wednesday of the month. And the idea is that we are here to answer your questions about what is going on for you, what's on your mind, what's stopping you, what are you excited to find out about moving forward. So we're here to just give you time um, to a articulate what your questions are. I think that's sometimes part of the process. When we're working by ourselves, we're like, huh, what? I don't even know. And then sometimes we know exactly what our questions are. So yeah, we're all here to support that. And the way we'll roll is we'll have Lila introduce herself a little bit. If you haven't had a chance to catch our 21 questions, Dojo 21 questions interview, that's something we do before these events so we can get a lot of questions about our guest senseis answered. So Lila and I had a great, fantastic chat about her origin story and how she approaches the business. So be sure to catch that. So we'll have Lila introduce herself, and then in the meantime, it looks like everyone's doing this. Love to hear where everyone's calling from, and then we'll have you put your questions in the chat, and then Kelsey will call you into the room, and we'll hear your beautiful voices and get the energy behind your voices and behind your questions. Um, and we're going to go till about 11 o'clock and answer as many as we can. And as always, 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 if you don't get your questions answered or you have more questions, we're always available to talk with you one on one at any point about where you're at and what questions do you have. So, without further ado, Lila, welcome, welcome.
Thanks
So
for
good.
having me.
Yeah, yeah. So, tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to and who you are and what you're up to.
Sure. Well, I'm Laila Berzins. Where'd that come from? Anyway, I have been a voice actor for 15 years now, which is insane to say. I started studying in December of 2008. I grew up as a theater nerd, musical theater, singing in chorus. I mean, my joke is that I was tap dancing and singing when I came out of the womb. Like I was just like, and that's why I was born prematurely because I was like, I got things to do. I gotta see the world. I gotta zazz the crowd. So, so I've been doing that pretty much like loving to perform my whole life. And I, went to college. I studied communications. I figured something practical, almost double majored in theater and communications, and then just decided I'm just going to take a lot of theater classes. Maybe I'll find something, with my communications degree, like in creative development, like an animation studio or something where I can still be a big kid at heart. And then I graduated from UConn and University of Connecticut, and did what most people do. I started off with my survival jobs. I had a job working at a health insurance company, which was miserable. And I
Right.
had a job working at a temp agency, which was also miserable, interviewing people for temp jobs. Both of them were just like nonstop, barely any breaks, just piecework, not at all the kind of work that I wanted to do. And it wasn't until maybe 2 years after graduating college that my mom uh, told me that she had a friend in radio who told her about classes that her friend had taken, for voiceover. And I said, "Wait, you can study voiceover?" because I ain't grown
Mhm.
up like Robin Williams is my muse. He's been my reason for everything. Like Aladdin and Mrs. Doubtfire changed my life. So when I heard that, I was like, well, that's it. I'm gonna go gung ho into this. And I started taking classes. I started heading into New York on the weekends, from because I was doing my day job in Connecticut. I was on LinkedIn on the in the evenings after my day job because I didn't have any agents at the time. I was just trying to like get myself out there. Eventually learned about casting sites, and eventually partnered with an amazing demo producer, Roy Yokelson of Antland Productions, who made my first animation demo. And he'd been in the business doing audio production for years, and he had sent off my demo to a mutual friend who worked at Disney. He's then sent it to somebody else, and I basically had an opportunity to come out to LA to do a general audition, which back then was they'd give you a bunch of scripts, you read it, and then they can see what else you can do other than your demo. So I had a week in LA. I milked that week for all it was worth. I'm like, I'm gonna go to Disney, Nickelodeon. I'm gonna have lunch meetings. I ended up going to a women in animation meeting and found out, met somebody who helped me find my first home. It was a very crazy thing. And then by the third day of being there, I had found out that one of the big agencies in LA, like one of the top agencies, Atlas Talent, like they reached back out after my demo had been sent over from somebody at Disney, and they said, well, what's your goal? And I said, my goal is to, find a way to get out here. And they said, well, we can start you on trial in like a month. And I said, give me a month and I'll be out here. So that's kind of what happened in March of 2013. That's when I realized my whole life was going to change. And then May 2013 is when I moved out here.
Mhm.
Um, just barely by the age of 30, I turned when I got out here, and then just was hustling it from the moment I got here, was, driving for Uber and Lyft on the weekends, pet sitting, anything I could to pay my bills best I could while I was, pursuing my dreams, went to all the casting agent workshops and nights and meeting with people and just very slowly started to get agents, regional agents, and then, bigger agents. My story with Atlas is not a simple one either because people are like, "Oh, you got a great agent, you're all set." No. I was competitive for Connecticut. I was not competitive
Mhm.
um, for LA yet. So basically after a couple months they were like, "All right, you need to work a little harder on your animation, on your this and that." Which is ironic because that's the majority of what I'm known for is cartoons.
Mm.
So I was like, "Okay." So my trial ended. I ended up with a whole bunch of other agents that I wasn't as happy with. 7 years later, I ended up back with Atlas.
Wow.
So you just
Yeah.
like I said, and then it wasn't until 9 years in my career that things really started progressing. Um,
Mhm.
so that's kind of my short, my condensed from here to there story. And then what I'm doing now is, I work most of the time from my home studio in Santa Clarita. I go into studios here and there. I work in all different genres, commercial, narration, explainers, corporate. Uh, Cartoons, video games, creatures, animals, dubbing, anime, you name it. I try to stay as versatile as possible. And yeah, and that's kind of what I do in my day to day. Every day is different.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. One of the reasons that I love doing 21 questions is because for anyone who's on the way, you are living your origin story now. So whatever's coming up, whatever you're doing so you can do this is your origin story, and we all have it. And I also at the dojo we like to be absolutely nurturing of the power and possibility of your voice and how possible this is. And also it's not like, "Ta-da!" You just think it and it's done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mindset stuff, but it's definitely a journey to
Yeah.
get to the top of the mountain, and even when you're at the top of the mountain, no guarantees. You
Exactly. I'm
might
still always working with coaches. I'm always taking classes. And yeah, during my journey was definitely a roller coaster. There were a lot, especially in the early years of being out here, a lot of times I was calling home to my family like, "I don't know if I can do this. Ah, it's so
Yeah.
hard." But,
But I remember the first time that I met you, Lila, at a women in animation event, and there was such a focus, and your heart was so open and so
Aw.
it was already done. Even though it took a while, it was already done in that moment of like, who is this amazing person and what amazing energy. Um,
Aw,
yeah,
you're
so
sweet.
so
Thank
it's
you.
like yeah, it's really cool when you meet somebody and you're like, oh yeah, that's happening. That's definitely happening. So
Thanks.
good things sticking through, sticking through
Yeah.
for that whole gestation period, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, hopefully that is quite inspirational. Um, let's get to hear your voices. What is on your mind? What questions do you have for us? How can we be of guidance? How can we share some insight, shed some light? Um,
Yeah, our
yeah.
first question here is from Brock Ward. Come on up, Brock, if you can. If you
Yeah.
can't talk, just let me know and I can do it. I can do
Yeah.
it.
Oh no, I'm here.
Welcome to the Brady Bunch, Brock.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, you talked about how they said, "Well, let's get you started on trial."
Mhm.
What is that?
What?
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
so with some of the especially with some of the bigger agencies in town, what they'll do is if you're fairly newer to the scene or they just don't have a feel for what you can do for them yet, they'll give you like a you know a trial basis period. Well, they'll send you auditions, they'll send you opportunities and see how you do. And that was literally what happened. Atlas sent me everything just to kind of see, you know, what my talents were, where I was best suited and also to see how competitive I was, compared to all the other folks in their roster. And it's kind of like it literally is kind of like dating. You're just kind of seeing if things fit. And sometimes they go great without a hitch, and other times you're just not, you know, you're here and they're just there, and you need to kind of take some steps to bring
Mm,
yourself up to that next level. So that's kind of what happened with me is that they gave me the opportunity that allowed me to move out to LA, but I wasn't quite competitive enough in my reads to be on their roster at that time. So they said, "We want you to take these classes. We want you to go do X, Y, and Z, and then come back, you know, when you've had a little more experience under your belt." And you know, I was still able to find another agent during that time to keep me going. And what I tell people about especially the bigger agencies, you can end up with an agent where you're just not sure on the hierarchy of things if you're actually being heard or not. But even during that time, I was like, I'm just going to take this as practice. You know, like everything I'm doing, I'm sending it out of the atmosphere. I'm going to get better and better and better the more I work. So whether or not, you know, I just tried as much as I could to let go of outcomes and be like,
Mhm.
do what I can at the time, and then eventually things will move forward.
yeah. Sometimes you might hear being put on trial as hip pocketing, like, oh, I was hip pocketed by Atlas. So that
Mm,
means opportunities are coming, but you're not officially signed on a contract.
exactly.
And couple things come up for me. At the dojo, we got lots of metaphors about the process of becoming a working pro voiceover artist. But one of my favorites is in order to break into voiceover, you need to be able to get on the freeway going 85 miles an hour with people who have been driving the Autobahn for 25 years.
Yeah,
Do it.
yeah.
Yes. People are breaking into voiceover every day. New voices are a vital part of the ecosystem of of agencies and both talent and advertising. Can you do it on a scooter? No. You can't. You can't do it on a scooter. And I love, Lila, how you articulated. I was on the freeway in a different market,
Mhm.
and that's cool. And then and then when you're at a certain, you know, when you're getting on the Autobahn, then
You level up. Yeah,
what else
yeah.
needs to happen? And I think one of the interesting things that also happens, is, you know, this is part of what we do at the dojo too. In the olden days, when, you know, when I started 30 years ago, or when Mila started 15 years ago, um, the way that things worked was you moved to a major market, you got good enough to get a major agency, and that was where the opportunities were. And then you got that daily opportunity. Boom, here's your auditions for today. Do these 5. Boom, here's these 6. Here, do these auditions. And then every day, ba-da-bop, 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 ba-da-bop. And that's in that first year of being with an agency was sort of where you were getting tempered, like forged into it, because you had that consistency and you had that caliber that was being the caliber of the caliber and quantity of material that was being presented that you were responsible for every day. And that's kind of where those things start happening. Now we have to kind of create that structure and that consistency and forage for those opportunities for us to forge ourselves. So that's a lot of what how we approach all of this at the dojo. That's what we do. How do we do that together? um yeah, but very good. And then
Yeah.
also recognizing that just because you don't go to the top in an instant doesn't mean that you didn't work, Lila. It doesn't mean that you don't have great relationships with people that you were part of their team along the way. Or hold on a second, let me rephrase that. That they were part of your team along the way. Do you
Hmm.
notice what I did there, everybody?
Yeah.
We're always empowering ourselves around agencies, etc. So yeah, super super good question, Brooke. Really
Yeah.
good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. What's next? Olivia.
Okay, so I wanted to say really quick, we have captured the order of like who has raised their hand. But moving forward, please put your questions in the chat. You guys have such good questions, and I'm collecting them all in order. And this way we keep it fair and we keep it good. So right now I'm gonna call up Kevin first and then Aver.
Avir.
Avir? Oh,
Hello, Layla.
Hi. How are you?
Do-do-do. I'm doing good. Oh,
I love your
Ava.
avatar.
Oh, thank you. That's my favorite avatar, you know.
What's your question,
Always,
Kev? What's your question, Kevin?
um, my question is, how was you find your cast on there? So, it's about Arlene of Barbie Touch of Magic. What was Arlene sounding like?
Well, I'm sorry, I missed that last part. What sounding like?
Arlene, sounding like from Barbie Touch of Magic.
You wanted you want you
Oh,
want
Arlene.
Yeah.
you'd like Lila to share a little bit of what she created for Arlene's voice?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, Arlene was for those who don't know, was a is a kind of catch-22 character. She's the Glyph Council leader in this Barbie show where she's kind of like a Wizard of Oz style character, like, pay no attention to the lady behind the curtain. But she's also a pirate, yahar. And I always kind of like to talk like a pirate. So when I saw this character, it was this lady with short pink hair, and I just made her full of adventure. And then they decided they liked the voice for that, and so I got to be a female pirate, which is cool because this definitely sounds more like a male pirate. And I was like, is this really going to go for on a Barbie show, this kind of sound? But they loved it, so I was grateful.
Yeah.
And Dash and Granza from Pokemon. What's she sounding like? Granza from Pokemon.
Drosna.
Yeah.
Drosna, I forget the exact description, but I know that they said that she was very almost sweet and saccharine when she was talking normally, but that she had like this kind of evil, not evil, but hyper competitive side. So I like the idea of her just being very nice and happy. Oh, what a lovely Pokemon! But you can tell that she's got a plastic smile and she goes to way too many Tupperware parties, So I just sort of channeling those archetypes of people in our lives and exaggerating them is kind of what I went for Drosna.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Thanks for your questions, Kev. Those are
Thank
great.
you,
By the
Kevin.
way,
Yeah.
Yes.
so what was the
Well,
red craft's name?
Kevin, we're gonna keep on moving on, okay?
Yeah, if you have other questions, we're gonna make sure that everybody gets a chance to go because our time is so limited. So post in the chat, and then we'll put your subsequent questions in the order received if there's time for them.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks,
Thank you,
Kevin.
Kevin.
No
I love
problem.
I love this word, the archetype. I think that if you can approach your animation understanding that there's that universal heartbeat of a character of like storytelling that's been happening for centuries, um, on a mythological level, that's a really cool in. Um, yeah, cool, 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 cool. All right, who's next, Kelsey?
Ever.
Ever. How are
Hey, what's
you?
going
I
on?
know you.
I know you.
Hello, old
Hey,
friend.
how you doing there? I just
I'm doing
thought
all
I'd
right.
come by. We've taken up everybody's time.
Yeah, what you need to know there?
I just want to know how to walk over here. But anyway, what I'm saying is I was wondering how important is it to get into a I guess the con circuit even if you have a lower amount of credits. I only have, and I'm referencing myself. I've got about 4 credits, all with small Japanese games. Um, and I was wondering how important is it to go to those cons even if you don't have that many credits?
You mean in
And
terms
what's
of
Con
in terms
credit.
of networking and things like that?
yeah, as like a guest or like your regular day pass or whatever.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I definitely went to cons with my business cards to try to network with because you never know who you're going to run into. You could run into a creator on an indie project. You could run into somebody who's, looking for some collaboration on a YouTube video. You just never know. So, it definitely doesn't hurt. There's people that have gone to cons, and offered their services and just kind of shoot the breeze with people and see how things go. So I mean, any opportunity you have where you can network and get in front of people, don't say no to, even if you're, don't have a lot of credits yet to your name. Could be a way to branch out, find people that are also just kind of starting out and maybe make something great. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think
Thanks.
also the
You
with
bet.
anything that we do, the more that we know what it is to be in the experience. So if you know what the rhythm of a con is, who you start going like, oh, who are the people that I should meet? Like who's putting this together? Or then you're just more comfortable. You're more comfortable. And so when it's time for you to get an invite, when the right characters come or the culmination, right? The critical mass of
Yeah.
characters come, then you're versed in the world, you know the game, and you also know what it is that you look for as someone who is experiencing it on the other side, right?
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. How will you be gracious? How will
Yeah.
you handle your line? What
Mhm.
pictures will you have? Yeah, I think that's always a good thing. Go where the people are doing the things is
That's right.
I
Yeah.
think more important than ever now. We had so much time where I mean it was beautiful because we have these forums, right? um, in terms of what happened over the pandemic was the end of that sentence. But over the pandemic, it opened it up to connect us on a worldwide level,
Mm.
and build our community out. And there's nothing like the experience of, oh, we met online. Oh, I met you at a women in animation thing. Because it's the human connection, guys, that is really what builds your business and your career.
Definitely.
People know, is it Andy that says this? It's not who knows you, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Andy Roth is just a Fight Club director this weekend. But yeah, it's all about building the relationships. I've had commercial campaigns for literally 14 years based on I know those people and they know me. you know, that's a little bit of an anomaly now, but it's all about relationship. And that's building a life too, you know. We build a business, but we also build a life. So yeah, go meet go where the people are doing the things. Yeah, it's
Sweet.
good.
Thank you.
Sweet.
And it
You
sounds like
bet.
it's on your way. It sounds like you're
Yeah.
on your way too. You have credits. It is happening. So keep on
Yeah.
trusting.
I'm glad Lila said something about the slow. You both mentioned about the slow process on the Autobahn, because that's what I'm feeling right now. It's just like, come on, scooter.
Well,
Come on.
but you don't have a scooter there. You have a vehicle. You
That's
might,
right.
might be feeling like you're on the surface streets, but you have put together a vehicle. It is working. You are booking. You are on you drive every day, right? You drive every day doing your
Yeah,
voiceover,
yeah.
metaphorically speaking, not Uber.
Metaphorically speaking. Is there like a Flintstones car for me? Can you half and half? It's got wheels, but I use my feet. I don't know.
Okay, it's all right. Keep
Thank
the
you
vision.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Awesome. That reminds me of this quote that I heard that I really like. It's little by little, a little becomes a lot. And
Oh,
I
I
think that
love
is so
that.
true. I
My
know.
my grandmother on my dad's side would say we used to make us cream of wheat, and we would always take a big spoonful, and she would go, little by little, not big by big. Uh,
It's powerful.
So
So eat your
on
cookie,
to the
everybody.
next. Yeah, exactly.
Come
Thomas, come on up.
Thomas.
on down.
Hello. Hi. Wait.
Hello.
Okay, great. For a second, I thought my mic wasn't working. I got to scroll back up to my question. There it is. Okay. Hello. Thank you for being here.
Greetings.
Very
Pleasure.
appreciated. Listening to your story about coming into voiceover, I noticed a lot of similarities with my own story. I also come from a theater background. I was also in college when I discovered through my mom that her friend was taking voiceover classes, and I was like, I didn't know voiceover classes were a thing. And now here I am at the dojo. That is the classes that she was referring
Nice.
to. But more specifically, it seems like that there is a theater to voiceover, more specifically animation and video game pipeline that I experience, you experience, and from what I've seen, a lot of other people have experienced. And it's just it always like stuck up to me, like pointed out to me whenever I noticed that. And I was just curious to ask, like what you thought about that. Like, why do you think that's the case? And like, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think the main thing is that people that already come from an acting background are going to have that leg up because they already, they have all this energy. They know about stage presence. They know about performance. If they done anything vocal, they know about breath control and how to manipulate their instruments. So they already have that extra step of knowing how to act, which is what voice acting is. And I think without that, anybody who's starting off on a different playing field, sure, they can learn that. But obviously, somebody who already has that experience is going to have a different experience just because it's already their world. So I mean, I definitely think that for animation and games where you have to go so big and you have to, there are some people that when they start off, they're more afraid of the mic. They're afraid to go as big. They're afraid to let out as much of their personality. And anybody knows that theater nerds are not afraid to be themselves because we've been as flamboyant and dramatic as humanly possible, and that is what we do because we feel all these human emotions. So we use these emotions and sculpt them into an art, so to speak, a delicious art sandwich and full of crispy sesame seeds. No, but so I think it's that. It's also, I think, a level of imagination that is so important when performing in any degree, is that childlike sense of like play. And obviously I think that people that come from that background already, they just kind of feel more comfortable innately, at least in the beginning, going into those kind of worlds. I mean, that's definitely for me. It was just about learning how to transfer my performances on the stage into a small padded room where I talk to myself all day.
Yeah, it's about transferring those skills to the medium. I think also anybody who loves theater enough to do it, has an innate love of humanity because we don't do theater. I mean, maybe, well, oh, we become a Broadway star, but okay, you
Yeah.
know, even that, that has a 3 block radius, right? In some ways, not. It's an extraordinary thing, but it's a very specific thing. So we do it because we love it, and it also opens up the playground of every possibility that we were just talking about. And you also, if you have done theater, then you have discipline and you have an innate understanding of the collaborative process, which is one of the things that um, is a contradiction about voiceover because our setting is our little space capsules. Um, Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? We're like in our space pods, and yet, what we have to do every day when we sit in front of our microphones is completely connect up to ourselves, to our characters, and then also understand that we are part of the collaborative process that is bringing this ad or this video game or this animation or this corporate narration, whatever it is. We are part of the team, the collaborative team that is bringing that to life, and we are the human component that creates that. We talk about the vibrational exchange of energy here at the dojo, but we are the life force that brings everything that everyone else did to, so that the people who are receiving it um, are receiving our storytelling, our collaborative storytelling. The people who are receiving it can feel it and experience it.
Yeah.
So that's a through line. That's a through line. And if you haven't gone to theater school or blah blah blah, it's important, and you have been a human. So you all you need to know is being a human, and then the rest is just what you practice and what playgrounds you put yourself in. But being
Exactly.
human is the most part. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
And then on the other side, this is also very true. On the other side of working with theater people, oftentimes the bringing no, really, really, just you. No, you are sufficient. You are always, yep, even less. Like just bringing it down to the intimacy of some of the realms of this is the practice, right? Because
Mhm.
the dojo we worked with Broadway uh, stars and people, and that's kind of the journey, right? When you're calibrated to work a 1,000-seat theater, and then you're like right here. It's a calibration, right? And a different relationship with vulnerability as well. So yeah, good question. Good
Yeah.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Yeah.
yeah. What's next?
All right. We have Heath Martin. Come on up, Heath Martin.
Heath.
Everyone has like these superhero names, like
I
Bob
know.
Ward, Keith Martin,
Heath Martin.
Hamilton.
And if you can't speak, just let me know and I can read it for you.
Going once, going twice.
We can hear you. Yep.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna read it.
I'm not Heath,
Um,
I'm Jeff, but
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, I'm confusing people.
the
but
Brady
Jeffrey, we
Bunch
can hear you.
screen confuses me. I was like, oh, that must be Heath.
That's okay. Do you have a creature demo to work in that portion of our community?
Yes, I have a creature demo. I worked on it so that I had a variety of different sizes of creatures with various levels of emotions, because when I chatted with D. Bradley Baker years ago, he said the most important thing is not just the sounds but the emotion behind each character. So if you go on my website, you can hear the creatures and the animals demos, but I do a lot of in terms of what I'm actually hired for, usually it's zombies, demons, any sort of growling, crazy types. I've done some things for Fox TV's The Exorcist TV show. If you saw Shazam or Black Adam, in Shazam, I was one of the seven deadly sins, stone creatures that came to life. I was Lust, and then in Black Adam, I was a whispering demon. But it can also be used for cute and cuddly, characters. It can be used for, um, you know, uh, I use it. I have a separate demo for animals, but creatures, can go throughout the animation and video game world in so many different ways that I definitely felt like it was important to have, especially because, you know, uh, people need that level of ferocity. Uh, I'm just more selective now with what creature stuff I do, because just with my recording schedule and the amount of recovery that it takes now, I don't take as many of those roles as I used to, just to preserve the pipes. But yeah, definitely, listening to what's out there, from other creature demos, and kind of, they usually have some sort of a story arc or sort of emotional transitions, so that you can kind of hear, what does this character sound like when it's scared? What about when it's like completely like, there's going to be one part where this character is just completely freaking out, and you want to hear, you know, like level 100 of what they are when they're angry. What do they sound like when they're sleepy, and because you just never know what people will need you for. And there are agents that will pitch specific people based on their creature demos, to clients. Yeah, hope that answers that.
Yeah. And I think of you as someone who, is quite accomplished as a creature person. Do you think that did you make a demo because you're accomplished at creatures, or did you become or did you collect, what am I trying to say? Did, like, which came
Which
first?
came first?
Yeah, like, did you start getting known as a creature, like a go-to person for creature voices, or and then, like, oh, I should make a demo about that, or did you create a demo and then become known for being a go-to person for
I
creature?
believe, since it was a while ago, I think, well, I knew that I wanted to do a creature demo because I've always kind of been doing these crazy sounds and imitating animals and monsters and things like that. I know that, I'm trying to remember. I think that I made the demo initially, but one of my first creature jobs was actually, um the one I got for Shazam was really funny, because it was not based on, like, a casting director found me based on just like a video of me doing different characters, like interacting with one another, but there were no creature sounds on that demo, but somehow they knew or had some inkling that I could do this, and then it ended up happening. Then I was like, oh, and it was kind of, that was one of the first jobs where I was like, okay, maybe I need to, like, kick this up a notch in terms of the marketing, and started, doing more stuff like zombies and games and things like that, and The Last of Us 2, and all these other things. But it was kind of half and half, I would say. I'm trying to remember which came first. I think it was the demo, and the wanting to do it, and then once I had, the right agent to market it, it definitely helped, and then it was just
Yeah,
sort of
so you created the
random luck for a few of them, just figuring out, and the auditions, obviously getting the right auditions, and then being like, all right, well, no holding back now. Time to
right.
show them my inner monster. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool, 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 cool. Ooh.
All
Uh,
right.
so who's next?
Rebecca Olivia asked me to ask this question.
Mhm.
Um, what are some coaches you worked with that you can recommend, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. Let me see. I've had so many great coaches over the years. Trying to think of some, in terms of, it depends on what genre you're looking for. Some of the ones that I've had for animation, Richard Horvitz, Mick Wingert, Debbie Derryberry, Bob Bergen. Um, oh my goodness, there's so many. Um, Sarah, is it still Sherman or has it changed? Sarah Sherman from, she was at Disney. Is it still Sherman?
I
Sarah
think so.
Sherman? I think it's Sarah Sherman, Aaron Fitzgerald, uh, and then I have a couple fellow actor friends that I worked with. Oh, Khalil Bogdanov. He's very hard to get a hold of, but he was instrumental in my in leveling up my performances, because he focused on things like eye line and the choreography of the character, of like, maybe your character is little things like maybe your character is peeling an orange or trimming an imaginary cigar while they're talking, and where is your character's eye line in this scene, and how are you, are they looking back at you, little things that would completely change the realism of my performances. So those were really big ones. Then for video games, oh my gosh, Dave Fenoy, um oh my God, Tish, you're gonna have to help me fill in the blanks with some of the big ones,
Yeah.
because I'm having a brain fart right now.
Let's
Um, uh,
see. Um, Kal-El comes to my mind
yeah,
as
for video games as well. Yeah,
actor.
was
Yeah.
was one of the best that I've had. Mike Orenstein, who's who teaches at Real Voice LA and is a fellow voice actor. He's somebody I work with very regularly.
We've been connected with Michael Schwalbe. He's
Oh
been a
yes,
director.
and
He's
Mike Schwalbe's also great for creatures. If you want to learn creatures or even how to access the false chords, which is very hard to do, which basically makes your throat sound like a didgeridoo, which I'm still trying to master.
oh,
Mike Schwalbe is fantastic.
you know who else is great is Keith Farley
Keith
for video
Farley.
games. Yeah,
Oh
he's
yes, yes, yes. I've worked with Keith as well.
mm,
Um, Wait, I have it on my. You know what? Let me pull up my the old VO res. I can pull up some of the because I was so hard remembered off the top of my head. Also, guys, let me know if you start to hear the leaf blowers outside. I have the door open to my booth for air, but if you start to hear it, just let me know. Um,
I know my animation career was Pat Fraley was foundational for my animation career.
Yes, Pat Fraley
So,
was fantastic. And then okay, so for commercial corporate narration, I've worked with Dave Wallace, Kristen Price, Eric Shepard, Mike Orenstein, Eric Rath, Kevin Delaney, although I haven't heard from him in a while. I don't know if what he's still doing. Randy Kay, Daniel Quisenberry, Linda Jones, and Steve Brezzo. Oh, Steve Bloom is also a really good coach. For gaming, Andrea Toyas from Blizzard, Lonnie Manella from Audio Gods, Becky Dodd from Naughty Dog, I'm not sure if she's retired. Kal-El, of course, Jamie Mortellero, Dave Fenoy, Philip Bach. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody else and then also for promo was Harry Dunn, Townsend Coleman, Brent Allen Hagel, and trailer was Richard Redfield. And then
yeah.
if you need somebody for a dialects, accents, IPA, anything like that, Eliza Jane Schneider and Karen Strassman. Those are my top two. I know that's a huge list. Probably not remember it all. I can even put, I can copy and paste and put that in the chat, just so you guys have like a little cheat
And
sheet.
and
Even though it's
they
going to have a lot of bullet points, but there you go. It's in the chat.
yeah, and we're always here as resource for anything that you need as well.
And the VO Dojo, which also
Um,
and all that. I
yeah,
don't mean to. Yeah.
but notice how a career that was 9 years to lift off, right? Notice how many people that Lila has, that all of that we have relationships with, that we learn from, that we're constantly learning. I know in 21 Questions, you're like, I'm still coaching. I still work with people all the time. It's something that doesn't stop. So and at the dojo we're like, this is home, and you always go and meet the other people as well. So we're always all doing this. So
Mhm.
good to ask. And then notice, keep track. Keep track. Lila has a resume of these are the people who've been part of my foundations. So as you're doing your origin stories, keep on building those. So
as
Yeah.
you build your memoirs.
Yes, yes. Good. Good, good,
Yeah.
good.
I would also say like the dojo provides like practice with professionals on a regular basis, whereas like Richard Horvitz, you go to like, a couple times a year, like maybe once a month, stuff like that. So it's a little bit different in that
Yeah,
way.
we do have
Definitely.
opportunities to work with the working pros too in our fight clubs that we do 3 times a month
Hmm.
as well. Those working pro opportunities
Oh,
to get social.
Marilyn Wissner for commercials as well. I almost forgot. I'm see you guys are helping me update my resume because I'm keep forgetting. There's all these people that you met. It's very people-y in the world, and sometimes you forget all the people you've encountered. So you have to kind of keep on adding it, so you're then remember who to stay in touch with as well, and who those go-to people are.
All right. On to the next question. We have Faux Cinder.
Oh, Cinder, that's a cool name too. That sounds like
Oh,
a
Cinda.
cool, a cool, cool misunderstood villain, like
Oh,
Yeah.
Cinda.
formerly a villain, but now she's
Mild-mannered faux Cinder by day,
yes.
demonic faux Cinder by night.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. So mine was kind of half answered because you mentioned about your creating your creature demo and everything like that. So I was gonna piggyback off of that. How did you work on increasing your range with your creature demos? And I always set this dream to one day be a Pokemon. Like I don't even need to be a main character. I just want to be a Pokemon one day. So like, how do you like? What are things that you focus on with increasing that range, or what are some um, tips and tricks that you would suggest if we were looking to go in that sort of direction?
Sure. Well, obviously, other than learning from the greats who, this is their specialty and they can kind of show you vocal placements and things like that, YouTube videos always, I mean, I just studying videos of animals, studying different, monster videos. There's been a lot of, kind of just from auditions sometimes I've had references where I look things up and I'm like, "Oh, that's an interesting sound. I wonder if I could replicate it." So part of it is just listening and trying to figure out where it's placed, in your instrument and working from there, and then, um, learning how to, kind of fluctuate pitch and levels of intensity throughout your performances. It was kind of more, a lot of it was just, from, classes themselves or from just going on YouTube and just kind of doing random searches until I found something interesting and be like and adding that to my notes and then finding a way to describe that in my notes so that eventually when I came back to it I could be like, "Oh, okay, so these are inhale barks. That's a boat sound. That's kissy noise lips and tongue click. That's tongue on the roof of the mouth inhale ort, whatever it is. That's just a backwards inhalation with a little cheeky, like whatever it is." And then because I've had auditions, I had an audition once for something I didn't get. I was up against D. Bradley Baker, and I was like, but I was so honored to be part of that. And I was literally like, okay, this character is like one of the most challenging things I'm ever gonna have to do. So I literally just listened to anything I could possibly find online, whether it was creatures, whales, dogs, fish, anything that, well, fish don't really make noise, but more like cartoony type stuff. And then figuring out, placement. There's so many different things that you can do with your instrument. If you're doing something girly, you're underwater, but then you can take that sound and make a creature that's like and play with the register there. If you got something low and raspy, or you can learn, like I learned how to use the rasp to create a realistic dog bark because when you're just going, "Roar," that's one thing, but when you go like this, "Roar, roar, roar," and that's different, or like finding out different placements, and it's all just kind of playing around and figuring things out like that. But there's classes are a big thing if you don't naturally like just kind of jump into that and figuring out, if you don't come from like necessarily a singing background or something like that, and you're not sure, well, how do I make that sound? Then working with, a creature specialist who can say, this is where you focus in your instrument, that definitely helps.
And then always keeping in mind vocal safety as you are on the road of creation.
Exactly. It has to be something
Understanding,
sustainable.
yeah, understanding that, something that you can hit for 1 minute or one
Yeah.
second is not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think the joyous play and giving yourself permission is the thing. Oh, become a zombie with one arm, or that that has father issues or something like that. Yeah. So I think it's playing around, and then specificity. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
exploration.
Great
Okay.
question. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your expertise.
Hmm.
All right, y'all. We still have a healthy helping of questions,
A
but
delicious, hot,
yes,
piping
yes,
hot cup of
yes,
questions.
quite.
Uh,
Um,
uh,
it is 12:55. We are gonna get a picture really quick. So if you want to be in on this beautiful picture, come on camera. We'll give you a second. Jeffrey, back me up, just in case.
If you wanted the picture, turn on your cameras. If not, we'll just get your profile,
Turn on, no
your
one gets hurt.
stationary one. That's what you meant by back you up, right?
Yeah.
All right. I got you.
Cool.
All
Uh,
right.
say har.
Yahar!
Good. And we got page 2 as well. So, one more for page
One
2.
more.
Page 2. And whee! Awesome. Cool.
I like the balloons, Diana. I saw that. Oh,
Uh,
fireworks. Nice.
yeah. And while we're paused, want to take a second to say how's best to keep in touch. How's best to keep in touch with you, Lila, and we can share what's coming up around the dojo and how to keep in touch here too. What's the best way for people to keep in touch with you, and how do you
Um, the
how do you work?
easiest way, all of my socials are on my website, lilaberzins.com, but I will also I put all that. Oh, don't mind the video shout out request. That's when I'm posting on YouTube. Disregard that.
Oh,
But everything is just put in the chat. Nope, that was actually sent to Phyllis. No wonder nobody was
it's
getting
okay.
the
I got
message.
it. I
I
got it.
was like, okay,
Don't worry
cool.
about it.
I was like, I got that, and then because some people were asking, and I'll put the voiceover training
This is
thing
why they
again
pay
in
me
the
the big
chat.
bucks.
Right, this is why you're the person. But yeah,
Exactly.
lilaberzins.com has all my socials. Instagram, I don't mind a DM. If you want to ask questions or stay in touch that way. Those are my top two. I'm not on Facebook that much. But pretty much all my stuff is in the will be put in the chat. Oh yeah, they just plopped it in the chat as well. But pretty much if you just Google my name, you can find the site, and all my socials are on there. So I'm happy to help if I can, if you're still, have questions on your journey, to the best of my abilities. And I hope you guys had fun. I had fun.
In terms of what's going on at the dojo, this is the first usually first Wednesday. Keep a track because over the summer it might shift a little bit because of holidays. But usually the first Wednesday we're here. We usually do a monthly get to know VO webinar. So come put those on your calendar. Join us for those regularly. And then this summer, we are launching what we're calling Summer of VO. And the first part of it is Explore the Core. So, wherever you are on your journey, if you are, if you're like on the road, if you're on the surface streets, if you're, wherever you are on your journey, what the Explore the Core is is starting out with our Launchpad and workouts, which Launchpad is our foundational, you should do voiceover classes. So it's a comprehensive overview. If you're already on the trail, what I've found to be really important and helpful is how does getting another perspective complement and supplement what you already know? It anchors what you know and complements what you might be another approach. So Launchpad and workouts are in June. That's starting next Monday. And then um, we have the Mystery to Mastery core classes, which are weekly workouts that are completely focused on developing your self-direction skills in real life settings. So we work in several different modalities, and it also includes a spectator spot for our fight clubs. So it's all about developing your self-direction skills. So in terms of that thing that we were talking about at the top, when Lila was talking about um, being hip pocketed by Atlas right out of the gate, um, the folks who we get to work with regularly who have been doing core are basically working in the conditions of sessions that are also developing your skills to be able to guide yourself through auditions and sessions. So it's real life setup that has week to week consistency and community. So a lot of things that we're looking for. So we would love to have you join us for Summer VO Explore the Core. You can get on my calendar and talk. We can talk more about that. But we're starting next Monday, and then core classes are on Tuesdays throughout the summer. So we would love to have you. And just in terms of anything that's coming up for you, that is on your mind. I'm here, team is here to support you in any way that we can. So hop on and let's talk more. So yay. So that brings us to the top of the hour. And Lila, we have like just a couple more minutes if you have
I can go a couple more minutes. Yeah.
okay.
Let's
If
say
you have
till
to,
11:10 if we want. Yeah.
cool. Yeah. If you have to roll, thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to having you back. And then Kelsey, let's see, maybe we can rapid fire a couple questions.
Yes.
Yeah, in that case, about the red crab, what's the red crab called? What's his
I'm
name, the red crab?
I'm sorry, Kev. Did Kelsey call on you? I don't think she did. Did we
Sorry,
bring
Kevin, we're still using the spreadsheet. We're still going in order.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can get to your question next, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Malik, man, everyone does have cool names today. What is going on? I'm changing my stage name. I'm leaving.
Heidi hoo-ha.
Hi. How's it
First and
going?
foremost, I wanted to say I was introduced to you as the lovely Mrs. Croker on video.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Ah, my heart happy. So my question is, I don't know if you had much experience in terms of going to like studios and doing records that way, or doing like a group record or anything like that for the animated project that you guys
Mhm.
made of. But I would love to know a pre like TLDR version of what a recording session for an animated series is like.
Hmm.
So yeah, the majority of my cartoon sessions have been in studio. Once in a blue moon, they've been done at home. Obviously, during the pandemic, a lot of it was done at home, even with Disney. But for the majority of the time, it would be treated very similar to any other normal session where you just go in yourself solo, and there's the director and the assistant, whoever else, and the engineer on the other side of the glass, and they direct you, and they're having you do each line, usually an ABC, three takes, three versions of each line. And then sometimes in addition, you come back to do ADR, where you're matching something that you previously did, or they changed the words and you need to match the timing. Unfortunately, I've only done ensemble maybe a handful of times, maybe once or twice, because of people's crazy recording schedules and just because of the way of all the way that things are handled in those studios. It's easier to just have one talent at a time come in and record, which is the one thing that's just frustrating. It was like you want to be with the whole team, but usually it's not done that way. Occasionally it has, like when we did a couple animated shorts called The Brew, for Disney, which was like The View, but with the Sanderson sisters, and I got to play Winifred, and it was super fun. And then we were all together in a room, or an ensemble for Rainbow Butterfly Unicorn Kitty. We were always in the same room, or Grocery Gang on YouTube. Grossery. So these gross, but yeah, for the majority is you get the script. Usually your agent will send it ahead of time, so you have a chance to look it over. What I like to do, if I'm going in for something where they welcome improv, I like to usually not until I have the physical script in front of me, but I like to, as John Cleese would say, I like to write in my ad libs because I just work better that way. Like if I see something ahead of time, they're like, okay, we're gonna do 3 takes, I'll be like, hold on 1 second, and I'll just write a couple things that come to mind. Some people are great with just off the cuff. Sometimes I'm like that, but my brain is better with like having it organized a little ahead of time. And then yeah, they'll let you know, but you're basically just you're playing around with stuff, and they'll pull you back if need be. But you go through, you can be going through one episode, you can be going through a couple episodes. You might have, after you read your main character, they might also have a couple side characters that they need you to play. Like in one scene, you're guard number one, you're this little kid, whatever it is, and you don't get much context. You'll get a little bit of information, and you might get an image, and then you just go. And so the having a lot of characters at your disposal is very important, obviously, and being able to improv and think on the spot, because it's all about just playing, especially in cartoons.
Yeah.
In video games, it's a little more, you got to stick to script. There's no improv in video games other than pre-life or post-life, like breaths, sighs, any sort of things that bring out the realism, unless it's a cartoony style game, which they do once in a blue moon. But for video games, and for video game auditions, you don't want to add anything to the script because those writers are very particular. But again, it's the same sort of thing, and for both, you could be in the booth anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. You might be just recording one quick episode and be done in half an hour. I've had that happen. It really depends, but whatever character or characters you're doing, you want to make sure that you can sustain them for up to 4 hours. And for video games, especially creatures and anything that's more vocally stressful, I have now, whenever possible, I try to give it a 2-hour limit. So if they have a 4-hour session they need, I'll say, can we break that up into 2-hour sessions so that I can keep my vocal cords okay. Sometimes I've had something where I've had to record, several days in a row for 2 hours to make sure we met the deadline, but that was what kept me going. And then obviously vocal warm-ups and cool downs are extremely important. Having like a 10-minute routine of different things you do vocally, with singing exercises and things, to prepare. I hear a big plane.
That sounds like the mothership.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
mothership is coming to
and
take me away.
the key for both animation and video game sessions is they go fast. Like
Mm,
you have to be so specific, ready to play, go to the jump, and be able to go anywhere in a really, really fast amount of time. And then and just to echo the joy of when you do get to play with everybody. The first videos, the first animation series I did was Starship Troopers, the Roughnecks Chronicle, and everybody was there every time. It was super, super cool. Working on an anime called Finding Paradiso too. We were all in the studio. It was very collaborative, but it doesn't happen as much for the reasons that was. So that's why we have to be in our own playgrounds, ready to play fully, fast and fully. So
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Great question. Thank you.
Tish, a couple things. Did you want me to just read them rapid fire, or are we still calling people up? How are we looking on
Let's
Laila?
see.
Are you in a rush?
Yeah,
Trying to
she's
get out of
got
here?
I've got about 3 more minutes, and I gotta kind of start to wrap it
why
up.
don't you
Like I said, if anybody wants to reach out after, on social
same.
media or whatever, I'm happy to do so when I have a free minute.
Well, for time's sake, let's see if you read the questions and we'll answer them as quickly
Rapid
as
fire.
rapid fire.
Give me the
Yes.
lightning round. I've got my buzzer.
Matthew Betley asks,
Oh,
are
hi,
local
hi, hi.
markets...
Sorry. Sorry, I just heard my name. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, quickly ask your question. We're doing lightning round. Answer your question. Ask your question quick.
Okay. So I'm just kind of picking myself back up after a couple years of burnout. I know you mentioned like local Connecticut at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Is local still a thing for you? Like even in LA, do you still have local versus, nationwide stuff?
Yeah, oh, definitely. There's definitely things that are local and or regional depending on what you're doing. Do you mean things that record in the actual just like that record that when they send the audition out that it's also going to be like in the same location, or do you mean um I just
I think as
confused
far as
myself.
like where they're trying to get talent from. I know obviously with
Gotcha.
remote becoming more and more prominent, that's
Oh
changed.
yeah. So there are definitely more auditions that say that they're willing to accept remote as well as local talent, but especially for LA and especially for certain studios, they either want you to be able to they either want you to be local or that you'll be able to come into studio. Kind of no matter what, because they have very specific audio specifications for what they're looking for. But I know many people that are, all over the world that are working from their home studios or coming into into studios nearby. I mean, I've patched in with people from London for projects or overseas. We just have different time zones, but just worked
Right.
with a client in a game who was in Chile. So it really all depends. You can definitely work with people from all around the world. But LA, New York, they tend to want you more in person.
So depending on what your end goal
Yeah,
is, it might still
sure.
require relocating.
It depends on what it is. For animation specifically, I would say it's more they tend to want you more local for at least the LA, New York markets.
Okay.
But there's always exceptions to the rule.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And then stay in touch with everybody that you meet along the way, because
That's right.
someone who's client in Chicago for me, or in Connecticut for Lila, the beginning still, either they move to other places, they go to different agencies, or they still want to work with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. Well, we are at 11:11. That's auspicious. I think wrap it
I
up.
haven't had my turn yet.
Oh, well, you had a turn at the beginning, love. So thank you so much for your questions. And we are going to wrap up because Lila needs to go. But thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Kelsey and Jeffrey, for keeping everything running on track. Look forward to getting to talk with each of you, all of you. And yeah, we're here to support you and here to keep on opening up your hearts and your minds and supporting you on this journey. So
Yeah.
yeah, Lila, thanks for joining us. It's
My
always
pleasure. And for anybody who didn't have their questions answered, you can shoot me an email or send me a message on Instagram. I do not mind. Might take me a little while to get back to you just because of my schedule, but I'm happy to help if I can.
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, hop on a call. Hop on a call with any other questions. So, all right, friends. Thank you so much. Great questions today and super good answers. Thanks, Lila.
Thanks for
everybody.
having me.
Soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.